Hello students, let's talk about the 1-4 notes. Now there's really not a whole lot of crazy things going on here. We're just talking about some properties of real numbers. What are real numbers? They're basically any number you can say, think, or write. So here's some crazy properties. Spoiler, all you have to do is find an algebra example, so you can kind of copy that right off of the property and then do a number example. So these are all in the book. And then this is your own example. Do your own example right here. You can be fancy, you can be simple, whatever you want. Okay, but spoiler, all of these are on page 23. All of those are on page 24. All right, so let's talk about the only real example we have to do. The only real example we're going to go over is problem number 3. Now the reason we're skipping all the way to problem number 3 is problem 1 or 2 is number sense stuff, and we'll get plenty of practice with that throughout the year. So let's just kind of worry about some small skills that are kind of a big deal. So let's talk about stuff like this. So we are simplifying each expression. So right here we're taking 5 times 3n. Now the brackets are confusing here. This is actually just the same thing as 5 times 3n. Now when you're multiplying a number times a number variable combo, the only thing that happens is you take the numbers times each other and you leave the variable alone. Okay, it's like if you have 5 groups of 3 things, you'd have 15 things. So think of the variables as like a label. It's a thing, like a grocery item or something that's in your backpack. If you have 5 groups of 3 things, well, you have 15 things. I see it right there. So one of those properties from the earlier portion of the notes is called the associative property. They want you to, this is what allows you to do things. They allow you to take the bracket around the 3 in the end, and it allows you, since it's all multiplication, you can put the brackets around anything you want. Okay, so this is all correct. Since this is all multiplying in a row, this is just going to simplify to 15n. So that's kind of the rule. You take a number times a number, you get a new number. You take a number times a number and a variable comes along for the ride. The one thing that I will show you that's an extension of that is if you have, like, I'm going to write this down. Write this somewhere on your notes. Don't write in the book. Again, this is a photocopy of the book. Don't write in your book. Let's say you have like 5x times 3x. Okay, what's going to happen in this case? Well, the 5 times the 3 would make a 15. Okay, the numbers are going to build a bigger number. Well, the variables are going to build a bigger variable. Okay, variables times variables make super variables. So that'd be 15x squared in that case. Another quick example, what happens if you have variables that are different? Okay, great question. 5 times 3 is still 15. So you multiply the numbers. The big numbers still become bigger numbers. Now, how do you multiply a times b? You really can't. That's the only thing you can do is just kind of mush them together. So if they are the same variable, they can make a hybrid. They make a newer, upgraded, think of it that way, an upgraded variable. X times x is an upgraded variable. A times b is just a mush. It just mushes together if they're different. Okay, that's about it. And then, like this case right here, what if there are no other variables? Well, then that n, in this case, just comes along for the ride. What if there's no variables at all? Really? I'm not going to explain that. Here we go. Next one. Part B is adding, addition. So, again, you got to think of variables as their own beast. Okay, B, beast. 4 things plus 7 things plus 8 things. The only thing you can combine is the 4 and the 8. So they get all fancy and they switch I don't know, this is really weird why they switch. This is a waste of time. They switch the 7b and the 4, and then they switch the brackets. Like, that's a really complicated way to do it. Here's what I would like you to do. See the 4, see the 8? They're both regular numbers. That means they can go together and make it 12. And then the 7b, there are no more b's. So it's just going to be a 7b. Now, if there was another b value, you would combine them. So let's look at another extension. Let's say if I had like 3x plus 5x plus 10. Okay, what's going to happen in that case when you have 2 variables? They're going to combine. Now this is addition, so 3 things plus 5 things would be 8 things. Now notice my x value didn't change. Up here I'm multiplying, so I need to upgrade my variable. Here I'm just combining, I'm adding. 3 things and 5 things would be 8 things. Multiplying is different. Multiplication is the only thing, one of the only things that can upgrade a variable. When you're doing addition, they just add together. And then the plus 10 would be there, okay? Combining like terms is kind of the big idea we're going to learn a lot about in this lesson, okay? like terms combine, and then if there are no like terms, you leave it alone. Okay. The only other thing that can mess with variables is division. They can completely cancel, just like anything else, just like numbers. Okay, you have a y over y. I don't even write it all out. As soon as you see y over y, see you later. 6x would be the only thing that's left. Now, we'll get more into this in future lessons, but I might want to save this for later. But what happens if you have something like this, like if you have a 5xy over, I don't know, like a 10xy squared? Okay, we'll get into more of these in the future, but I'm just going to show you right now. The x's would cancel. 5 over 10, that would simplify like 1 over 2, simplify like a fraction. Now, y over y squared, I did show you how you can upgrade variables. Well, what do you do when you have like a square on the bottom and then a regular on top? Well, let me write it out really quick. So y is y squared is actually y times y. So these two would cancel. So that means there's a y, a single y, left over on the bottom. Again, there's lots of different variations, lots of different combinations of things that can happen. So don't think, just follow the rules. That's the beautiful thing about this. You don't need to think, oh, what should I do? Just don't think what, just think, which move should I make? All right. So here's what you do on your notes. Here's the guided questions. We got to take 2.1 times this group. Well, we're multiplying a number times a number and a variable. Then we're just going to multiply the numbers, and we're going to leave the variable alone. So I know for a fact I'm going to have an x value. Well, what's my numerical value going to be? I don't know. Mr. Calculator, help me out here. I don't multiply 2.1 and 4.5 on a regular basis. Okay. 9.45x. Okay, thank you for that. All right, we have 6 plus this group. Now, since it's all addition, you can kind of get rid of these brackets. They're kind of pointless, to be honest. Okay, see you later. Oh, 6 and 3, you are like terms. 4h is still going to be 4h. There are no other h values to change it to anything else, so it stays a 4h plus 9. Okay, 8m's over 12mn's. Goodbye. Okay, 8 over 12, that's going to simplify, always simplify your fractions. Mr. K, should we simplify our fractions? Yes, you should always simplify your fractions. Hey, look, there's an n left over in the bottom. 8 over 12, I think I can divide you by a 4. I can divide you by a 4. I can cancel out a 4, basically, so it's going to be 2/3. There we go. All right, that's it, Frex. No, Frex. That's it, my friends. I tried to say folks and friends, and I came up with a weird word. So that's it, my students. Simplifying, combining like terms, order of operations. It's all pretty simple stuff. All right, we'll see you in class. Goodbye.